Yeah, he wants one first down there too, I guess.
Oh. That's quick as I get a chance, I'm gonna do this year.
Today?
No, as quick as I get a chance this week, if I get a chance. I got all my stuff filled out. Now, I just take the certificate with me that Bob gives me, right? Yeah. Because that's my proof that I passed the class, right? Okay.
I've never done those.
I know you did, yeah. Because it says you do have to show proof that you've had the class.
You're just dropping it off, so when they have an export, they have everything.
Right, yeah. And then I guess they only take so many. Yeah, I was told they only sell for 2 hours each month.
I guess what if they have 3 traffic?
And then I was told to go in alphabetical order from the first, and then rotate every month. So we'll see. But that's fine, that's what it is at that point, you know.
We talked about it.
Go ahead, Maria.
Definitely, I would offer that discussion.
Look into that then.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, how you doing, Ken? Chicken. I believe that. Yeah. I understand.
Clock on the wall says 7, call the meeting to order. Please rise for the pledge of allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Here. Here. Yes. The agenda approval, we have one item to add to that, H, under the action item, 13H, is a line locator metal detector for PW.
I'd also like to add something to that. Okay. In action items, I asked the planning commission to look into reviewing the sign ordinance per the request of the business owners about 4 months ago.
I just have a little kind of correction on action item A where it says water run advisory. When I read that, the corresponding title mentions utility billing. So I'm not sure what the water run advisory has to do with the water or the utility billing there compared to the document, to what it's saying here.
Not sure
not either. Try that again.
If you look at the document, ordinance 3,
Yeah,
it says, an ordinance to add new subsection to chapter, et cetera, to the Village of Central Lake Code concerning utility billing. I don't see anywhere within this where it says anything about water run advisory. So it's just a title, something that corresponds to it.
under H, isn't that the event for this
Right.
water advisory?
That's the addition to it.
Oh, I see, okay, very good, thank you.
Any other questions with respect to the agenda? Have a motion to approve?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Any support?
I'll support.
Support by Bodley. All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Approval of the minutes of April 8th. Any questions with respect to that?
Make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Moved by Bodley, support by Chapman, to accept the minutes of April 8th, 2015. All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion is carried. Public comment. Mr. Schultz, you're here, I think.
Yeah. I called Rob Tyler and Lela Clark, and we recently talked to them about, kind of redoing the basketball courts across from the school. And I just wanted the village's permission to pursue that a little bit further for grants and, being awarded, grants and apply for, government has one, and I know, the Grand Traverse Regional Community Foundation has another. And just basically going out and asking for money and asking for the village's permission to use your guys' name in association with it, so that when I get a check from somebody, it comes here, you guys see it, and then we use that money to fund new hoops, repaint the courts. I'd like to get the lighting back up there. That's one thing that, throughout my childhood, my parents always knew where I was at that time. And that's one thing that I'd like for parents to be, they're at the basketball courts, and right now, the hoops are bent, the nets are falling off, the floor needs to be redone, and I'm just looking for the village's permission to use the Central Lake Village to apply for grants and be the grantee of it, basically.
Any questions from the council?
No, but thank you.
That's a wonderful project.
Yeah, you're gonna do a good job.
Thank you. I hope so.
We decided that it didn't need to be, we would just approve it from the public comment area. He's not spending any money or anything at this point, he's just asking permission to go, so. No one has a problem with that, you have our blessing, thank you.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Leo's, representative, Jim?
Yes, thank you so much. My name is Jim Fliss. I'm with the Central Lake Lions Club, and I'd like to introduce our new Leo president, Allie Hines. She has a little couple of things she'd like to ask the council.
First off, we're wondering if the Leos could help out in any way at Thurston Park with clean up, with paint, or anything like that. So we're here to help, so
Okay.
we're wondering if that. And we're also wondering if we could donate a volleyball net down there. It would just be temporary, basically. We can remove the poles, but we're just wondering if we can donate that.
How do you plan on putting the poles in?
What we're going to do is countersink poles under the ground level and cement them in, and then we put poles inside of those poles, when we put the net up, and then of course you just take the poles out. So in other words, you can't stub your toe, you can't run over the lawnmower with it and hit it or anything like that. Real safe. Only 2-inch holes, so nobody would be, nobody could hurt themselves.
Okay, they'll be level with the ground.
Yes, they would be level with the ground. In fact, I will be doing the work, and the Leos will help me do the work.
Do you have a site proposed?
No, I left that up to you guys because you guys are, I don't know where to put it, what my suggestion is though, that if you guys could put up some stakes where you'd like to have it, and we can go from there. But I would like to find out who I would be in contact with so I can work with them, instead of, bothering you guys.
Okay, Lela is our head of our parks committee, so she would be your contact.
Okay, good.
The only issue I had with it is that if it was gonna be permanent poles, then it would interfere with other activities.
Sure.
If that's flush with the ground, the poles can be removed, and then it can be used like normal. So, from that point, I don't have a problem with it.
Would Sam have any concerns or questions?
About the same questions Larry brought up, you know.
Jim, are you gonna require sand for this, or no?
Pardon me?
Are you gonna require sand?
I don't
Is it a sand volleyball court, or just?
No,
Just a
just grass,
volleyball
grass.
on grass?
Yeah, just,
Alright.
yeah, it's for the public, it's not for the legal, it's for the public.
Yeah.
I'm looking at sand.
What about the hole the pipe goes inside of?
What about it?
Because if he's gonna bury something in the ground, it means there's an opening up top.
Right.
The pipes drop down into it.
Right.
What covers that pipe up?
That's what I
When the
want.
pole lies in.
What covers inside that pipe up when the poles are out?
What I was going to do is put the cement over the pipe, so there would be no rough edges there. In other words, countersink it underneath the
But
cement.
when the poles aren't in the hole, when the poles are removed, there's a 2-inch hole then.
Oh, we could put a cap
Put
in
a
it.
cap in it or?
Yeah, sure,
Okay.
just, and they have caps, not a big deal.
You need to notify Miss Deep. How deep are they gonna be?
They would have to be a minimum 3 feet deep.
Yes, that does, because we do have a gas line going through there.
Yeah,
Well, they
because
think
we
about it.
do mistake, definitely, that's the law.
The service for the camping park comes through so somebody's gonna have to call Miss Diggin on it.
Okay. Anybody have any issues with that?
I know, I think it's a great project one.
Thank you, Leo.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we just need to determine the location where it's going to go.
Leaving that up to the park committee.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Gotcha.
Chamber of Commerce? Do you have something to say?
No, you can't. You need to step through a government meeting. See, Ernie?
We have nothing, we're gonna handle your request in the public comment. For now, you can talk about it, but then we do have it as an action item. So if you wanna make your presentation, there is a model in the back of the room. I don't know if the council had a chance to look at it, but that's what's being proposed for the memorial on the lot of Alden State Bank. So, is there something you guys would like to say now?
That's just about it.
That's it?
All of it.
Well, I have the specifications.
Oh, yeah.
If you'd like a copy, I'd be happy to share them right
Is
now.
that?
Well, if you
That's
want it,
down to the action item.
it's under the action item, so if they don't have anything at this point in time, we'll wait for further comment then. Okay. Sorry, you'll have to sit through the whole meeting for that.
Quite all right.
Any other public comment? Mr. Moon?
Just wondering if you came up with any solutions up there to 6 issues.
Not yet, but I'm still investigating. What I have at this point is there's only one deed that shows that access and that easement through the property. And I need to do some more research to find out where the other deeds have access to that 20-foot.
All you gotta do is sit down with me, so I already got them all.
Yeah, and I'm gonna try to get what's on record at the courthouse, and therefore I'll have some legal standing when I do sit down.
You go to Blair every day, don't you?
I do,
All right, well, it only took me 15 minutes there.
very good.
Nuisance law, MADA, I mean, we gotta get these taken care of for summer. I've already been sitting on my hands for 2 months.
Okay,
It's been an issue since '09.
I understand that.
Well, you don't, that '09 is 6 years.
Yeah,
So, Rob, been up there,
yeah.
so is the
Scott's
guy
been up there,
well, Scott, he doesn't wanna give a comment on it.
and so has Jim Keller next door.
For then, Forest law, that isn't county property, that's my property. So you need to investigate too if you're gonna be in the law enforcement guy. And there should have been a ticket and insurance by the state of Michigan stating that they can go back on them to get damage if it was their property. But if you're not part of the solution and help, it's never gonna get fixed.
It's a civil matter, really.
Not when the car gets followed in my yard from him pulling it out, I'm on a different matter now there.
I don't know what matter you're talking about
M88,
now.
the easement going around M88.
Yeah.
There was a car pulled out of my yard last winter. No insurance, no plates, no idea who, no police report. Should have been a police report, he pulled it out. I'm just saying,
I have no
you wanna be
idea.
part of the solution, there's a lot of cars on this road that doesn't have insurance. And the only way that we're gonna find out is opportunity, is that's when the cop pulls them over, or a record driver pulls them out of the ditch to ask for proof of insurance and insurance. They gotta have it if they're on the road. You gotta have it to fill out your receipt. It's just common practice is all I'm asking.
Okay.
Alright? With those 6 issues, I'd like to get on them.
Any other public comment?
Maybe during last month, we submitted a packet for a chicken review of our petition for there to be a change in the nuisance ordinance, section 8.2, subsection I, and the changes to allow for the use of chicken, ducks, and turkeys. Since that petition, we have gained 52 new signatures. I compared the signatures with the last year's registered village voters, and there are a total of 70 village residents that I can say for sure are village residents, with the remaining, like 60 being non-residents, and about 9 of them that I'm unsure of. I want to thank you for putting it on the agenda tonight. I hope you all have the opportunity to go over the packet. I also brought you in some hard copies with signatures on them as well, so I appreciate that. Thank you.
The issue is on the agenda under new business.
Yep.
Any other public comment?
We can hold up questions then, till we'll come to an action item.
No one else? Thank you. I have 3 correspondences since we last met. Received one today from Consumers Energy to say that towards the end of the summer, they are going to be putting in new meters on all residences within the village that they serve, and it will become digital and smartphone compatible, I guess is what's going on. So they have several flyers that may end up on your doors along the way as they proceed, just to let everybody know. So that's going on. So if these show up anywhere, it's with respect to Consumers Energy changing our services, changing our meters. The other one is for a public hearing in Okemos with respect to, excuse me 1 minute here. There is Bureau of Construction Codes through the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs. There's a meeting May 8th to a public hearing that is amending the Michigan Residential Code and the Michigan Energy Code. So if anybody has any interest in that, the information is here for you. And the third correspondence we received from the county treasurer a letter saying that we have first rights of refusal for a property that has gone back to, through tax sale. And since it's in the village, we have the right to purchase it if we would like. It's 3.75 acres in behind the round church, up in the trees in there. The access is through what's called Dawson Road, which is not a legal road, it's an easement that runs up through there. Unless somebody has a desire to purchase that, I'm looking at it, I think I talked to Sam about it, Rachel and I talked about it, we really couldn't think of any need to purchase it. But if somebody else does,
A better cross street than Dawson?
Go to Cameron and Howard.
All right, got it. Straight up.
Go straight up.
Oh, okay, there, yep.
Go up Park Street.
You got enough places at the Dollar General?
Anybody see a need?
How much is
Be
it?
about $1,000, a little less than 1,000, right? 967.22.
Would make a nice spot for a new DPW garage.
Is it flat or is it?
We're doing good.
It's 3.75 is according to the description. That's my third correspondence.
I'm thinking. I got the wheels turning.
Committee reports.
You want to go back up and grab the report, Sam, BBW and all that?
Scott.
Oh, I'm sorry, yep. Scott, please report.
Okay, hopefully everybody got a chance to look at the report. Pretty average month, actually a little bit more than average as far as keeping busy. Less traffic, obviously, this month just meant we worked on other things, more complaints, stuff like that. Some highlights at the bottom there, attended in the planning and DDA meetings, some training in Grand Rapids and Lansing, assisted with the lockdown drills, so some pretty standard things. Bill's going to talk a little bit about the car and where we're at with that, so. Any questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Great, thank you.
Thank you. Sam?
Everybody should have a copy of the DPW report. I want to point out a couple of real brief, quick ones on there that I don't normally put on. Number 12, the reason Larry put that action item on there is because this month we marked 27 missed digs. And our old locator was pretty well shot. I gotta send it back to California and get it recalibrated. So that's that one. Number 16, last month Joe had asked about the well up at number 3. Northern Pump has been in, they got the well pulled. Next week they got a job in Traverse to fill that well, and they'll go ahead and abandon ours and fill out the well log. And number 18, kind of late, I forgot to tell you last one. We made it through the winter. The oldest plow truck, which is 94, we had no breakdowns. The 02 plow truck, we had no breakdowns. In the loader, what breakdowns were very minor. So we're in real good shape on that snow plowing equipment coming into the new snow season. Any questions?
How'd that new tractor work?
We absolutely love it with the bucket on it now. We're using it to spread black dirt. We loved it snow blowing once we got all the bugs worked out of it.
The back blade worked out pretty good on it?
Yep.
It looked like it did.
Yep, we absolutely love it.
Got up what we couldn't get with it below.
And remember, we talked about all the frozen water lines. Well, as we were reading water meters, we found 7 water meters that were broke. They had froze up. They had a leak in them. When we got to reading the meters, we wouldn't know they're leaking, of course. And 2 or 3 additional meter horns were froze up and broke where the copper split in the meter pit. So our summer damage was, or our winter damage was all them lines, plus we've had, I want to say 11 or 12 water breaks from freezing, plus 7 meters, plus 3 meter horns, plus all the patches we got to put back in roads. Any questions?
No questions?
Thank you.
Thank you. Lyle, campground?
Okay, I started work on April 20th, power wash the restroom, cleaned the fish station, I picked up leaves twice. Cut the grass twice already, I changed the post on the number 10 campsite there, the ones that divide the campsite from the launch area, I changed those out. Helped Sam put up the new bridge, replaced the bridge, main bridge by the bathroom today. We've got 22 registered for Memorial Weekend. We had 24, we've already, we had 2 cancellations yesterday on that. Other than that, been busy. I still gotta, before we open up, or before the Memorial Weekend, I'm gonna take and wash the outside of the bathrooms and clean up the sidewalks and stuff with the power washer. So we're heading in the right direction, I think.
Any questions for Lyle?
We have got one problem down there I discussed with the park committee. I also filled up muskrat holes. We have, getting overrun by muskrats. I put in, what was it, Sam, a full yard of dirt in that one hole?
3, 2.5.
3.5?
2.5 yards.
2.5, 3.5. So, we've got muskrats coming in around those docks down there, and of course, that high water took away a lot of shoreline, and they're going in the bank there too, so we got a problem out there. I went over to the trailer tonight, and there was 3 of them out by the docks. That's it.
Any questions? Thank you. Committee correspondence, I jumped ahead there, sorry. Committee reports, Rob, street sidewalks and lights?
Sidewalks. We, independently, myself, Lela, and Melissa looked at putting in the new sidewalk south from the school towards Covert. And that way the students can walk on the sidewalk and not be kicked out onto the road in the wintertime. Our budget's $8,000. How far will that sidewalk take us? It's hard to say at this point just because what obstructions they run into. So that's where we're at on the sidewalks, and they also are gonna fix the one sidewalk that got washed out when we had the water main break at both State and Howard. Let's see, oh, and the homeowners will be notified on that as well beforehand. Let me get on my lights folder here. Let's see, we were looking at replacing 2 Cobra heads down at the campground. It's an LED. Trying to get apples to apples comparison to replace them. So right now GE's got their bid in, Tanko Lighting put a bid in, but it wasn't a direct comparison, their wattage was off. So they're gonna go back to the drawing board because I wanna see exactly who's gonna be the better bang for a buck on that one. I should have an action item for June on purchasing those lights. It should be, I'm gonna go on a limb and say $600 for both of them. Roads, we got the Gordy Fraser bid came back. It's in your packet, looks like this. And that was to fix the flooding of the Ron Brewer Apartments on Ballard Street. Grand total came to $175,000. Our budget's just under $100,000, so that's pretty much off the table for this year. Sam had come up with some ideas on how to mitigate the water flooding in front of those apartment complexes. Sam, you want to touch on that real quick?
Yeah, well, what we did is we took we bought that new laser transit, so we went up and took some shots. And Mr. Brewer was there at the time I took them shots. And Mr. Brewer's really, his only concern is Howard Street that goes up to the baseball diamond. That's where all the water runs down at, goes around the corner. We took some shots, and I'm not a road builder, but I do believe we can do some cutting from the high side to the low side, take the center of the intersection out, because the center's 1.5 foot higher than any road up there. And I believe we can do some re-wedging of the road and get that water to run down to 88 and spill out into MDOT's drain. So what I did is I asked Mike Elwinger from Reith and Riley, when he got time, to come into town to do some shots. And by the time he leaves that day, he'll be able to tell me whether or not we can minimize the scope of the work project and get it down small. And still get the water to run the right way. But the only thing I will caution you people on, he's gonna come into town and do that for free for me. So when this gets put out for bids, I would like this board to remember, he's doing this for free to try to get our work.
I understand you're gonna feed the center of the road.
The center of the road's 1 foot higher than anything else right now, Bill.
I was just saying, it's not gonna interfere with your plowing then?
Nope.
Okay.
And what we'll do is we'll drag it down 50 feet past, 100 feet past the intersection, however Elwinger figures it out with his grades, and just have to regrade that whole section right there, and then pave that section back. And that cures the water from up that way on the Blacktop Road. And that's our biggest concern. And then, at the same time, we gotta stop it from going to the south around the intersection, but we gotta stop it from going to the north. Because when it comes off the north, it goes into the girl that lives on the corner right there, right into her garage. So we're gonna take all that into consideration. And when Mike gets in town, I'll spend a couple hours with him and be his runner. And I'd just like you people to be aware that he's doing that for free for us, to possibly get to work.
Thank you. That's it, thanks, Ann. Would this be a good time, if we're gonna have them in and look at it, would it be a good time to have them go through and just look at all the roads? And maybe give us an estimate on just doing all the roads in town? And, I mean, I don't know what exactly our budget is in our road fund, of $200 and some thousand, but if we were to evaporate a majority of that and just fix every road right now, is it more beneficial than having them come back time after time after time after time?
Well, what I will say is, keep in mind, MDOT has just released all their money for state highway projects. So we kind of get the little jobs, I hate to say it, but get put on the back burner this time of the year. So Mike's just, when he gets a couple hours, he's gonna come into town to help me out. I can ask him anything when he gets here, but reality is, he's only gonna do that very minimal on that intersection.
Too late to try to schedule it.
Because he's so busy.
Like I said, I just asked if that would be beneficial to us and maybe take a hard hit of doing a lot of smaller repairs to get 15, 20 years out of the roads if we could.
And reality is, if I asked him to go through the whole town with me, I would not ask him to do it for free. He done it once with me, and I'd never ask him again.
Well, it might be worth spending the money to have them do that and have that plan. If we didn't do it this year, it might be next year.
I foresee doing it next year, not this year, just because we've got that grant looming over our head.
Oh, I agree with you on that
And Herrick Road's gonna get tore up. It's gonna have to be replaced down, all the way down to the gravel. Because if they're bringing in machinery that they spoke about at their presentations, that's gonna have to be put on the front burner. And I hate to start paving other things, and Herrick's a gravel road, because we got ahead of ourselves a little bit. That's my only concern in that scenario.
Well, like I said, I just would look at it if they are coming in, maybe it would be worth.
If you can spend a whole day, we
Spend the
could
money
use the
to have
data
them.
next year.
We'd have a pretty good idea and know, maybe we do 15, 20 smaller projects to get 15, 20 years out of our streets.
I think with everything else we got going on, it might be better to have him do it next year, plan for him to do it next spring or something.
And see, then you're giving him enough heads up, I think, and then.
And you can see
Then
what
he can
you.
say, yeah, you know what, so probably might give me a whole lot of work. At that point, I'll come over and spend 6 hours with you, Sam.
Yeah.
And I agree with that kind of.
All right, we'll spend the money to estimate on doing all the roads. Is that what I'm kind of hearing here? wanna write it down?
I basically have, they know the roads more than I do. Have them go around and tell us what road we need to repair and what manner, can we do a small patch here to get by for another 10 years, rather than doing the whole thing or this one or that. I don't know the roads, as I said.
General
Let
assessment.
these guys, they're professionals at it.
Any other questions or comments? Rod's gone, so sewer and water, Sam, is there anything going on there?
I was gonna have Rod give you the presentation on the line locator since he's, so, and Larry's kinda already explained it to you, so.
Bill, law enforcement?
The chief is working with help from President on finalizing the USDA grant this last month. They stripped out the car, the Crown Vic is completely stripped out now, is that right, chief?
Yeah, all ready to go.
And the new car should be here about any time, within a week or so. Let's see, only a week or two out, several weeks. Now it should be any time. That's about it.
Any questions? Melissa?
You, I'll have a written report, I'm not gonna read it all to you, but just run over quick a couple things. Met with Sam, Rob, Lela, and Lyle, we've reviewed some streets and sidewalks and parks and committee stuff. I've gone to 2 of the 8 master planning certification classes at MSU. They've been really good. I couldn't be more pleased with, I mean, I realized the cost was not cheap to go to this, but it's professional, it's good. I think the people there are really enjoying it. I'm one of the younger people that's there, but it's been a very positive experience. Attached to this is the current communication policy for a website and a Facebook page next month. I'd like to bring that back with a couple minor edits for discussion. This is an FYI from the PC Planning Commission. We're discussed this at the meeting the other night. There's several things, but I just wanted to let you know that the bylaws and other procedures will go before the new group to be amended in the near future. These priorities listed below, we'd already talked about email addresses for current council members. Right now, there's some of us that are using our personal emails for business. I personally just don't want to do that anymore. I would like to have a Zelenak at village council or whatever it is. I want to keep my emails as village council emails. I don't want my personal mails to be mixed up with my business mails. So I don't know how everybody else feels, but I think it's important, and that's what I wish for.
We can do that, right?
The next thing is developing some mission statements for our committees. You see an example below for the Communications Committee. One of the things we talked about at the Parks and Rec meeting, and I think we mentioned it here before, was the Thurston Park brochure, what the status is on that. Who did it before, how many copies, how was it distributed, where's the money coming from, are we doing it this year, what's going on with that? I just want to put that out there and figure out, I mean, it should be on racks, like now. Next couple of things are developing some strategies. One of the things that Joe and Rob and I had discussed before was some standard operating procedures. And Joe mentioned that this may be a finance and personnel thing, but when I look at it from a communication standpoint, I think it's something that's important to do for the clerk, treasurer, admin job, because as I've typed here, I'll just read it. Developing standard operating procedures for the clerk, treasurer, admin position to detail performance requirements, support long-term and consistent service standards, maintain productive interdepartmental interaction, to provide for accountability and to assure continued ability to provide regular and consistent performance evaluation reviews. To me, that is a communication thing. How can Larry help the clerk improve or guide her or do anything if we're not doing performance evaluations at this time? The last thing is provide a monthly financial status to the council and to the public. You know, right now on our agenda, we get a thing that says approval of bills. We're gonna pay $48,000, but I have no idea what that $48,000 is for. I have no
Stop in
idea
and ask.
how much money we have in the bank. Well, the township and other organizations get a sheet each month that says we have this much money at Alden Bank, this much at Huntington, or whatever, so I would like to see something like that for us.
Okay.
Yeah. So, that's it, that's all I have.
Well, if I can jump in here for a minute, this developing standard operating procedures, the one problem I find with this right now, and I think it's pretty offensive, the only person you're talking about here is the clerk treasurer, who you seem to have picked on quite hardly since you got here, and I've got a big problem with this. I don't like this. I think you need to take a step back and let us all do our own jobs.
I respect your opinion, Joe, but I just don't see it that way. I just
Anybody else see
don't,
any other names
I
involved?
think that
Is
it's
there
a
any other
position,
jobs
it's
you
not Rachel's name, Joe, it's a position. Doesn't matter if Rachel's sitting in it, or Susie, or Lyle sitting in it. Doesn't matter if it's a clerk position or a campground manager position, we just don't have these things. So I don't like that you're insinuating that it's a personal thing, because it's not.
That's the way it reads to me, but.
Melissa, how do you feel that performance evaluation falls under the umbrella under communication?
I'm looking at this council and see things that are missing in a communication standpoint. Larry, as her employee, or employer, he says that there's never been a performance evaluation for this position. So how can he say, wow, she's doing a great job, if he's never looked at a performance evaluation, comparing it from quarterly or monthly or biannual or whatever it is. So I'm not saying that it's a communications task, I'm saying that it's a hole that needs to be fixed.
There has been performance evaluations.
Well, that's not the information that I
Well, I still wanna go back to, maybe I see communications incorrectly. I see communication out to the public, Facebook page, and that sort of thing. And as I read this, this sounds more like something that Larry should be doing. Sorry, Larry. You know, I don't,
Well,
I'm not saying it doesn't need to be done.
I'm
saying I
saying
agree.
that when I look at these things, I'm not looking at just the information that's going out to the public, I'm talking about what's coming in, what's going out, how we're talking to each other, how the departments are communicating. I don't think communications is just, woo, let's put something on the website. That's not what it is to me. It's us effectively communicating with each other, with the public, everything. And I am putting this here for conversation, not to say who should do it or when, but that it needs to be done.
Needs to be done with everything, because you guys sit here and you physically can't see it out there. And
Well,
like I've
we've
been
had
addressing the board,
situations where employee A has said this and employee B has said that, but there's been no protocol that said who's supposed to do what. So I'm just putting this out there for discussion. It's not a personal thing. I assure everyone, that's not it.
So it's a procedural thing, you're saying, more so than a communication.
Exactly. Well,
everything, job description,
it's both. I mean,
There is
it's,
job descriptions,
So-
and there is stuff.
I just want to speak up with Joe, because what I'm hearing back here is, I think the complaint, Melissa, is nobody's arguing with performance evaluations, but the only department you mentioned was the clerk treasurer. That's what I'm hearing back here.
well, I could certainly add in Lyle's job
Okay,
or
I
Sam's.
think
and
that's
so-
their concern up there.
Well, this right now is the thing that's blaring, because I hear what the public is saying about some of these things, so, I'm not just pulling this out of the air. And yes, we could do it for other departments, I'm just starting with this one, so if people think that, we should start with another one, great, but this is one that I think is important.
Law enforcement's been doing it.
Yes and no. I mean, I do them on my employees, no one does them on me, so. And I would agree with you, even as an employee, we should.
And that's it, thank you.
Anybody else? Finance personnel? Audit's finished up today. They'll be getting back with us on a report. I stopped and talked to Sam a little bit about the vacation time request that he had. Looked at the campground revenue by site and totals for the season so far. We're looking at $45,761 in reservations so far this year. Breakdown of site by site here if anybody wants to see it. Also, I attended the Planning Commission DDA meeting there. That's where I got the request to ask the board to actually send an official request to the DDA to look at the sign ordinance. I'd like to see on our agenda a Planning Commission DDA report, as Corey once was doing. I'd like to see the president doing that once again. I think it's a direct line of communication that would be nice. And then also material that's distributed to us, if we could get that in sooner to the clerk so it could be distributed in packets, we all have time to review it and truly look over it and make some good educated decisions out there. That's all I got.
Parks and public property, Lela?
Can I ask a question first?
Mm-hmm.
I like the idea that Melissa brought up. I have no idea how much money we have in any of our accounts. How much money is going to each individual account, and what goes out of each one. You give me a sheet and that's it, and just got figures on it.
Would we like to put revenue and expenditures in packets? We used to do it quarterly is what they used to be.
Well, it would be nice if you could see right there, you've got this much in the bank, this much coming in from whatever we've got going, and then plus what's going out of those accounts for what? I got nothing.
Expenditures and revenues ain't gonna show you what she's asking.
And I can show you all the bank accounts.
That just shows you what the month, that
Right.
your budget for that year.
That's right.
I don't know what kind of work we're going to for something like that.
I don't know either. Do you have any idea what it would take to do that?
Maybe it's just something for each individual, like law enforcement could have one basically for law enforcement, one could have for parks, and basically just maybe an itemization of what each budget has or has spent or throughout that month would be probably beneficial.
The township has a real good one. Why can't we ask them for
I'll explore it.
outline?
Okay. That was your question, the
Yes.
report?
Okay, on the parks, we had a meeting the other day down at the parks again. There's a lot of work that has to be done down there, an awful lot. And we're trying to change some things that have been going that we don't think is beneficial. We would like to plant some new trees down there. Our trees are getting pretty bad shape in some of them. And we'd like to have a installation of the new bridges. We have three bridges? Two bridges over the creek that are very bad shape and they're not safe to use. And Lyle has agreed that he would go ahead and do them. We'd like to see them replaced.
One was replaced.
One, you have replaced one already. I think that's good.
Well, the Department of Public Works replaced one today.
Good.
I grew up with those shoes.
Well, and we would like to get more interested in improving the looks of the park down there for people coming in. And it's getting pretty bad along the bank where we had the high water and it's washed out, like you said, the muskrats. We've got to do something getting those muskrats out there, not just go down there and maybe somebody bought a shooter bird. I don't care what they do, catch them or something, but we gotta get them out there.
Chapman should know about someone to get Chapman down there.
You have to have your permission from DNR.
Well, yeah.
So your person you gotta do is contact DNR and
Yeah.
Mac.
But if they're
That's a
damaging
great
property,
call.
Any deal does it for the DNR.
if
for
they're
beaver,
damaging
I know
property,
that.
you'll get a permit to take them off.
I think it'd be wonderful they would, because it's dangerous. And it's
Well,
really
just
our
remove
park.
them and move them somewhere else.
Fine. And then we wanted to put some new permanent pads along the lake for the trailers coming in, because the ground is receded enough that it's soft, and we need something down there to hold them so they're not gonna drop down into the lake. The ground's so heavy. Can you think of anything else on that one?
Bob?
Nope.
Anything to add?
Okay,
On the pad or overall?
no, just on pads,
Yeah, I have nothing to add on
but I'd like to know about the grant that we've got supposedly coming. I think Larry, you said that we should know by now?
Well, yeah, I do know something more. Are you done with your report?
Yes, I'm done, Michael, thank you, sorry, sir.
I'll mention that here shortly. Just to inform everybody, I was asked to serve on the Historical Society Board, which I accepted, so I'm sitting on that body. I've looked over the DPW vacation time request and have a recommendation that's under the actions, and I'll talk about that more a little later. And the Chamber of Commerce, I've talked with Susie with respect to porta potties for 2 events, and that's under action. I've had a couple of more requests for a village cleanup. My response is that it's too late this year, but we will work diligently to have another one next year, so.
Larry, on the village cleanup day, the township is having a tire amnesty day on May 23rd. Village residents are allowed to take that, correct? I want to make sure everyone out there knows that. I just want to make sure everybody knows that. I'd like to see the number of people that participate from the village in that, just to see if it's truly needed, because that would give us again more data.
I can give you a,
But it still gives you something to see how many people are actually going on and taking advantage of it, just so we have a snapshot, so we have a little bit more information to work with. Sam?
You sent out flyers.
They did send out flyers, so that was the township. Susie?
I'd like to comment on that. You participated in the Banks Township cleanup day up there, and you're on the tax roll, and they checked you off regarding township.
Or Bill, okay, good, thank you.
I will have a comment on that for you, Rob,
Thank you.
for village, because I'll be there.
Reiterate, the auditor was here on Monday, they completed their work today. The report is forthcoming. I asked if we were going bankrupt, and they said no, we were in pretty good shape, so in that respect, I think we're okay for at least another year. The judge approved the procedure to have the 2 parties that claimed interest in the property on the north end of Intermediate Lake. And I thought that was the end of it, but that was not the end of it. The paperwork had to go down to Mr. and Mrs. Rushton, who were the 2 parties that had interest. And they have said that they will sign those documents and come back. When they do that, they get taken to the judge, and then they'll grant us the title to the property. So, 30 days, I don't know, it might be 2 weeks, but at some point, then we should be able to proceed with our grant, so.
So we're physically just waiting for them to make a signature and mail it, or?
Those documents were sent today. So the judge reviewed them on Monday, and they went out today. And then as soon as they sign and send them back, then they can take that back to the judge, and he can say, okay, and it's our property. So we should be able to proceed with the grant. We're having a brush cleanup. I think that's also under old business, which is the first week of June. And Sam and the boys, it's supposed to be out, I think, on the 2nd of June, which is Monday. And then they come through for the week and pick them up, who's ever got a brush pile out there. So it's just brush pile, it's not down by the road where they can get it.
Sam's requirements are,
Same rules as last time.
yep, we'll have it most of it is 6 foot, no more than 6 foot length, 6 inch diameter, or
4 inch diameter.
4 inch diameter, stacked in corresponding piles so they can pick them up all in the same direction.
That was June 2nd?
First week of June.
First week?
We'll get a lot of notice
We
about
don't have
that.
a date yet, just setting the
Every
week?
First week of June,
Okay.
is what I was told,
Okay.
so whatever the dates are.
So we did it last year, I believe. I think that.
Okay, cool.
So that's gonna be the day that we're gonna be doing it, so you know that, cause I'm gonna be out of town. But I'm just saying, 2 weeks notice, are we gonna have more notice next time, when this is gonna happen? Sometimes people have something planned already, you know what I'm saying? I'm leaving town for a couple weeks.
Well, get it ready now.
Okay, there is, by the end of the month, if there's no more payments, there's 21 delinquent water accounts totaling $6,292.32 that'll be turned over to the county to be added to the tax rolls, unless somebody comes in and pays prior to the end of the month. So I talked about the 3.75 acres behind the round church, so I don't need to do that again. So that's my report, unless somebody has some questions for me. The approval for the bills, prepaids of $13,865.75, payroll of $54,2825, payables $29,005.29. A total of $48,299.29. Any discussion? Have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Bodley, support by Chapman. No further discussion. Roll call vote, please.
Bodley?
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Clark?
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Zelenak?
Yes.
Eckhardt?
Yes. Under new business, there was a packet in your packet that dealt with the Freedom of Information Act, procedures and guidelines. We're here to talk about it tonight, make any changes if anybody had any. And it would be an action item for next meeting in June. Anybody have any questions or
I'm
comments?
looking at this, this is state implemented, if I'm correct, if now the new guidelines that the state says we have to have, so it's not something we're inventing the wheel on or anything, this is all state required.
Is this from the state or did we generate this?
I generated all of it.
This?
Yes,
Okay.
this was from an example that they sent me.
Okay.
Yeah, it was just tailored to central.
Okay.
Nobody has any questions or comments with respect to this? I'm going to assume
We'll see it next month.
we'll see it next month under action.
Yeah, I thought it was good, I thought it was very well done, so.
Okay, there's 2 ordinances that we have prepared and not under action with respect to chickens. Since last month, we received another petition that added turkeys and ducks to it.
Can I correct you, it wasn't added, it was combined at the first presenting. So turkeys and ducks was included in the original petition.
Since last meeting, I've discovered that Bel Air has one, Elk Rapids has one, and Traverse City has one. So in my infinite wisdom, I said, we're not any different than those communities. And I figured that we could come up with something that would be acceptable. I still have a little problem expanding it, because I think that's the whole issue, is if we allow one, somewhere down the road, somebody's gonna want something more. And even on the petition that was submitted tonight, that somebody wrote in there, can we have pigs too? I mean, we live in a community and we have to respect each other as neighbors. And I'm sure that there is a propensity for things to not be kept under a sanitary way if we allow all kinds of animals into town. We have a few wild animals that come into town already, turkeys being one of them. And I still have a concern that if people took advantage of this ordinance, that we would see other critters come into town to take advantage of that as well. Coyotes primarily is what's on my mind.
I've got a chicken farm by my house right now, and I don't have it, and they're free grazing. So they're all over the township, they're on the corner of M88. They've been there for 3 years now. The only thing I've seen is chicken hogs. But the garbage behind my house now, that's offensive.
Any questions or comments with respect to the ordinances that have been prepared?
The only thing I would like to see us do is, we've only been approached by people who want it. We haven't really opened the door and had a public forum for the people who don't. And so I would like to see us have a public hearing, or, you know, just a public time before the meeting next month, to get it out there and tell them, come talk to us. If you don't wanna come, state your opinions, is all.
Joe, I just disagree with that. I mean, this has been talked about since 2013 on the Facebook group. So it's been out there for years now. So anybody that's opposed to it, they've known about it.
We're just now putting this out here. Nobody knows that really that there is an ordinance sitting in front of us unless they're here or read the agenda. So before we try to pass one, I think we should open the door for public comment to just that.
May I say something, please? I personally, I called up Larry one day and asked him if it was possible to get chickens, because I wanted to get 3 or 4 chickens. My neighbors aren't going to be affected if I have 3 or 4 chickens, because they're going to be in a small little area that stay penned up, and I don't see why, if people don't want them, they don't have to get them, but I don't understand why you would take into account, especially on chickens. Now, I don't know about I'm not gonna say about the other animals, but if my neighbor doesn't wanna have chickens, I'm not asking him to have chickens. I'm the one that would be responsible for them. They would be in a small area. Chickens are,
Ain't no different than an animal, because I got cousins that take chickens like animals.
they're less problems than dogs.
I just, like, right now, it's an ordinance that does not allow it. And if we're gonna look at changing that ordinance, I think we should have public opinion on
Well, why don't we post the ordinance to the website and let people look at it at least that way for 30 days, so that when we come here next month, the public will have had a real opportunity to actually read
And
the
then
ordinance.
I guess we could do that. I just think we need to give them the opportunity to come in also.
And
That's all I'm saying.
it does state no roosters, I assume,
Yeah.
because they are the problem.
Rachel, I just have a couple typos in the number 4. We gotta fix the goad and the pig and the duck there.
Oh, how many Central Lake signatures, village people do you have? Because you had stated in 2013 you had come before the board and we had asked you to get 80 signatures, that would be 10% of 800.
Actually, I did
Somebody
not,
did.
I did
It
not
was-
state that. Another person
I didn't say it was you, I said somebody stated.
started the petition in 2013, and all of a sudden, a chicken ordinance was rushed through the former village administration. So, there was no public hearing then about it, it was just rushed
It's
through.
always been on the books. It's been there since the ordinance
Not
started.
according to the information I have.
It's been on there.
Like I said, we've got, as of today, 70 village residents that I can actually confirm.
So you have 70? Okay.
Well,
Just
if
under
the ordinance
10%.
gets online and people know it, it could bring more or less. So
Yeah,
we might make
and that's all I want, is that
10%.
open forum for everybody to have a spot. to
So
do
can
it.
we put this on the website
Is
like
that gonna be
tomorrow?
the procedure for everything when somebody approaches the village?
As long as we don't make her too mad.
Sounds that way.
I mean, we have the VFW log here tonight, there's no public hearing on that, for that piece of property up there.
You're not changing an ordinance.
Yeah, but still a piece of property.
It's a piece of property that affects the whole
Could be a
public of
business
village.
area.
We're not changing ordinances here right now.
Well, yeah, but it's stating the same fact, I mean.
Wouldn't, I just have one comment,
just
you have
right.
a brand new,
Whatever.
Wouldn't it be a good idea to pass it to the planning commission? You have a newly appointed planning commission, the people that wanted to
Well,
get
planning
involved.
commission did help me out, so.
Terry, this isn't about you right now, this is my comment. Wouldn't it be a good idea to pass it to the planning commission? I mean, is that what they're there for, I guess is what I'm saying? And
If they
let
did
them
their
get the
job.
public input and bring back a recommendation to you.
I'm not
Who
sure,
oversights
I'm not
that?
sure that they're for the nuisance ordinance.
I don't know, it's just,
They're not good for that.
I don't think they're there for that, that's a different, we're here for the
I
nuisance.
think we just, I would just be happy if the public could see this on the website for 30 days. It has, Janet Hickman, I think, was the one that brought it here a couple years ago. It's not new to anybody, but it's not ever been advertised by the village in any way either. So if we can put it on the Facebook or the website,
given
so people can see it.
Well, if you throw it on the web, also put it on the counties that do have it then, put that for reference.
What's the difference? We have an approved ordinance number 3, I mean, one water run advisory, whatever. Is that on the website right now? Is there a public hearing for that?
Nope.
We're just gonna approve it tonight, but you want to have a public hearing on
This is the
chickens?
nuisance ordinance. There's
We
totally
are
different.
just now, this council is just now seeing this chicken ordinance tonight. We just got it in our packets.
So
I'm just saying
when I handed
that-
these out that had the recommendation,
Right, but it wasn't all the wording, the procedure, how it's gonna go down, getting an application, none of that stuff.
so you drew up
So
something.
I would like for you and everybody else to be able to look at this and the application that goes with it for 30 days, give comment, and then come back and have it be an action item and we approve it or not. It's a 30-day opportunity for you guys to read this.
That's the procedure with
That's
this
it.
one we're doing.
Shouldn't it be that way with all
No,
ordinances?
this is a
Why
nuisance
not?
ordinance.
What does it matter?
It
If an
makes a lot,
ordinance is
but
being
it's
made.
a lot. But that's it, it is for this.
Have to differ on that from there.
That's what it's listed as.
Well, it's under new business, it's not an action item tonight, so regardless, we have 30 days to figure out what's gonna happen with it.
Okay.
So what is our action on this?
I have no problem with publishing, putting it online.
Okay.
If you want an ad in the paper to say that it's online, we can do that too. Just so
I just think
we make the
we need to
effort
get it
that
out
everybody
there.
has right to comment.
Okay.
We'll get mired in bureaucracy and hold everything up, I'm sure, so.
So what are we gonna do with the people that don't have internet now?
That's
Are you
right.
gonna mail it or what?
Absolutely, I understand the question.
So you're gonna mail it to them?
No. They have an opportunity to come in and ask for it over the counter.
How do they know if they don't hear about it?
That's why I said, we could put an ad in the paper so they would have
If
to
they don't
have
get
it.
the paper or read it right, sir.
Then they're
That's-
pretty
that's
disengaged in living
public.
here,
We
from
can
my
inform the
perspective.
public.
I'm
Well, I'm
not,
just wondering if
I'm
the
not
fact
about
that- I hear your side. I relate to it. One sided.
I would like to see that this moves on. You guys are kind of stalling, we're kind of getting into it here, and this is not a positive approach right now.
Thank you.
I have to agree that this should be posted on the village website so everybody can see it, pros and cons, and then go from there. That's just my thought, my opinion.
Absolutely.
Next.
Next.
okay. We're at action items. Approve ordinance number 3 of 2015-16, water run advisory.
All this is actually, this is what we talked about last month, that all it did is add in H, if the council so chooses to credit accounts during the run water advisory, it's the formula for crediting. That's all, that's the only changes, so.
Which was done last year.
This formula was last year's formula, we came up with it last year, everybody said it, Sam, the other president, Rob Tyler, and myself, everybody. So if there's no questions about it, I would make a motion to accept the ordinance number 3 of 2015-16, an ordinance to add new subsection to chapter 2, section 2.1, 10 of the Village of Central Lake Code concerning utility billing.
No support.
Motion with support by Zelenak. Any further discussion? All in favor of the, no, roll call.
Bodley,
Yes.
Chapman,
Yes.
Clark,
Yes.
Tyler,
Yes.
Zelenak.
Yes,
Yes. Approve recommendations for DPW vacation time. In 2 meetings ago, Sam asked if they could be compensated for vacation time that they were not able to use because of our water situation this winter. I looked at it. Jeff did not have any days coming. Sam had 10.5 days available. Steve had 2.5 days available. And I'm recommending to the council to give Sam a week and give Steve a day to compensate for working very hard this winter in pretty brutal conditions. Sub-zero degree days, and
So,
trying to keep our water running in the village.
so this is more a bonus than it is vacation time?
It can't be, they're not getting paid. They were supposed to get vacation and they had to break work instead.
Part of the job.
So that's part of their job. And they're on call 24 hours a day.
You're asking.
I think
You're
they
not-
should-
You're preaching to the choir on my belief of it.
I think they should get all of it.
Any further discussion?
The only thing that concerns me is what happens next year if it's another hard winter. Are we gonna pay unused vacation time? I don't know, I know the guys deserve it. I know they worked hard. I'm not sure I agree that they should be paid for vacation time.
You're gonna take it 365
The
days.
question that I went back with, I've asked a lot of people, I've talked with Charlevoix County, many other areas, and most of them have said the same thing, they wouldn't approve this. Now, I'm not saying that if they had vacation time in that was denied because of the hard times, or the hardship, the hard winters, then absolutely they should be paid for it. That wasn't the case. So that's all I got with it.
You know, I got a feeling, I think that the vacation time that was available, I talked to Sam about it, and it very well may have been used, but it was their opinion that,
It's not,
and he is the supervisor.
right,
So I would say that it was
So that-
mandated,
right.
so I would think it's a valid claim.
In that question, then, if we're gonna consider paying them for, that's only half the vacation time, we say, yeah, why half and not all? I mean, why wouldn't we pay
I'd
for all of
like
it
to
if
make
they
a
truly
motion that
deserve
we
it?
pay for all of it.
What are you guys talking about? They don't even get that in construction.
I mean, that,
Yeah.
Or
We
it's
have
cold
to
weather
use
too.
stipulation for
I
that.
thought splitting the difference was being fair.
Zero.
I mean, at some point, they might have been able to get a day or two in that time period, they could have taken as vacation. They didn't ask, they chose to work. So that's why I said if we meet them halfway, was a little under halfway
If they
actually.
didn't put in for a vacation, they shouldn't be paid for it.
Sam?
Am I wrong,
Sam?
Sam, or was it that you
How
didn't
do you-
ask because you didn't want to be,
They should be put
you didn't
in
want to
30,
be
40
taking the
days
time off
before.
when you thought you should be working?
Let me clear a few things up. Larry, what date did you go to Florida, do you remember?
February 4th, came back to 12.
The 4th?
Mhm.
Okay, I'd come to Larry just before the 4th and said, we got an issue, we might have to do a let water run. But I also went to Larry and said, Larry, I got a lot of vacation days, and Larry said, let me know the days you're taking off. Now where we're at now. I had already told Larry we had a lot of vacation days. Somebody was gonna try to take them off. We chose, as soon as Larry left, of course, the water started freezing up. And I chose to work instead of getting the people water instead of taking the vacation days. That's all.
That's the way I understood it, that it was.
And I'm sure Larry will tell you, I talked to him out here.
I got a question. I have to interrupt again. I raised my hand.
Okay.
I worked construction, I worked at the foundry, I worked at different trades. What he's asking for is ungodly, outrageous in my book. You have to put in 30 days or longer to get a vacation days anymore. So if he talked to you in February about it, it would have been in the March when he was asking for the vacation days. So you gotta have a procedure like the one young lady saying down at the end of the table.
some kind of guidelines. To look over these supervisors.
We do.
And we're
Special
certainly
request.
providing that, yeah.
Well, I don't see a
We're not
special
asking
changing-
request.
your procedure,
we're
we're
not
just
asking-
asking for you to make an exception. And I think under the circumstances, the exception's more.
What do we do with the other employees who did use theirs because they were told to use them or lose them?
They had the same option too.
He had the same option.
Yeah, they all do.
But he worked because of the village needed him.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, wow.
So if Sam was to go ahead and apply for his time off and in February, January, it took his week and Steve did too or whatever, and we get a sub-zero freeze and everybody's water's freezing up, and they call Sam, sorry, Sam's on vacation, or what's the public gonna do?
Where's the second in command?
You gonna fix it yourself, Jerry?
Where's the second in command?
Charlotte County
Sam runs
allows
this-
vacation in the wintertime. They do not.
Neither does Ian.
There you go. You never gave me no vacation.
I mean, I know these guys deserve it, and I know they've worked hard. I'm an advocate that they should never lose their vacation time, period. We should find a way that they don't lose that. But I don't think we should be circumventing our policy that we have in place right now. I would be more in favor of saying, let's give them 5 days extra this next year. If they use them, great, they got 5 days they could use. But we're expelling money, I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know, I don't know either. This is just a sticky wicket one, I don't.
What would you do if they cut your vacation time? You agreed to it, and you couldn't get your vacation time because of your work.
But that in itself is a question, in my opinion. We have a policy that says, I believe it's 30 days it's supposed to be turned in. We know that never works, there's a term in service. But no vacation was requested in any of that time, so they were never denied vacation. They chose not to take it.
Because of, he said he.
No, he talked with me and said, asked for it.
Now, see, that, I wasn't aware of that until
Yeah, he
5
said
minutes
he
ago
asked
when Sam
for it.
said. That's all I.
Well, that's why I went back to the beginning here on
Okay.
this issue, guys.
And I
So-
think that's what
Did you
makes
deny your
this different
vacation?
circumstances.
I said, fine, let me know when you're leaving. And he never left, because water started to freeze.
Well, maybe the policy needs to say something like in the winter, you don't take your vacation days for exactly those emergency reasons, and ideally he takes them in the summer and we don't run into this situation again, but right now we have a situation that needs addressed.
If you change it to something like that, I still won't get it because we're only 3 people and I can't get away in the summer. We haven't even mowed Thurston Park yet. That's reality. The grass is 8 inches high sitting in the park right now. So you don't get it. With only 3 people here,
We need more staff.
Yes, we do.
well, no, we don't need more staff.
I think Sam might agree, because this happened lots of years, it's happened a lot over years, Sam, right? When I was in, maybe, whatever you do this year, I think going forward, maybe you need to have a talk with Sam and the guys and come up with a vacation policy that works. Because what you have, and I'll admit it was there when I was there, doesn't work. So maybe it's time to really sit down and talk to them and come up with a policy that they're happy with, and you're happy with, and it truly works, so they can take the vacation time that they're promised.
But I will come back to this board and honestly tell this board, I've been in church for 14 years. The first year I've ever come to you to ask you for this. And I've given up 5 days, 7 days in the past, and never said a word.
But if you shouldn't, so if the policy they have doesn't work, it's time to take a good look at it.
So
Larry, can you read your figure again, please?
Sam had 10.5 days available to him, and Steve had 2.5 days.
So 5 for Sam and 1 for,
And that was my recommendation, we need him halfway.
So now my question on them days, the 10.5 days that were unused, does that include or exclude the 5 that he gets paid for out?
That's excluding you.
So you had.
I actually had 15,
and a half
I
days
actually
you
had
didn't use.
15 and a half days
Okay.
of vacation left.
Okay.
That's why I come back to ask you, to get paid for it. We're only 3 people.
I'm with Bill, this is a special circumstance, it's something we haven't run in before, and ideally we won't again, and I originally suggested a motion of paying all days, but I think a compromise is probably the best route to go.
I think
As
so.
Larry
I
suggests.
think Sam can handle the arrangement of the vacation time in his own department there, or come up with a solution and make a suggestion, you know, or make a recommendation to the board. Because if it's gonna be a continuing problem, then you're best to know when you can take the vacations or when you can't, so. I'd like to see us,
Under the circumstances, I agree with you, Bill, under the circumstances, not knowing that they did advise that they were gonna take vacation time, that would have been nice to know sooner. This could have been handled probably a lot quicker then, but.
My mistake.
Well, I'm gonna make the motion that we do as Larry suggests and pay Sam the 5 days and Jeff the one.
Steve the one.
Steve the one, sorry.
I'll support it, let's get going here.
And moved and supported, any further discussion?
well, just that, that's not really what he asked for.
No. It isn't, I agree.
What did he ask for if it wasn't?
He wants-
He just wanted compensation for all of it? Is that what he was asking?
That's what he asked
Well,
for.
that was the, 2 months ago, that's what I originally said, yeah. Can I be compensated out?
And again, when he spoke to me about it, it was this occasion only, because it was induced by the weather and, you know, the circumstances of the freezing water and then one thing and another. And it wasn't understood that we were gonna change policy.
He's not asking us to change policy.
And he did say that he talked to Larry
Well,
prior.
even so, even if he's not asking, we should probably have the common sense, I think, to look at it and say, this is something that's
And
come
that's-
up now we need to address it.
That's what I asked
Okay.
too, is that Sam be given a prerogative of,
I agree. So now we're getting.
coming up with a solution for the, so it doesn't have to.
Right, now going back to your same question is, why only half of what he's
But you
asking?
didn't rescind yours.
That's what I think we should pay him.
Well,
I'm
then
gonna
we have a
change my
motion on, and a
motion.
support on the
Can
floor.
I change it to?
No, well, let's just vote it down,
Okay.
if that's what you
Okay.
want to do. Got a motion and a support to provide 5 days to Sam, 1 day
I'm not gonna say no.
to Steve. All in favor of that motion?
No,
Roll call. Gotta be roll call.
No.
Yeah, we got a roll call vote here anyway.
No.
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 No. Another motion?
I'll make the motion, we pay him what he's asked for.
And Steve.
And
Support it.
Steve, yes. And she supported.
Okay, any further discussion on that motion? Roll call?
No.
Yes.
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 Thank you very much, folks. It was locked in.
Approve putting police car out for bid. It is ready to go. Need a motion to
I'd like to make a motion.
move forward.
Support.
Motion from Chapman, supported by Zelenak, to put the old police car out for bid. Do we have a minimum bid?
No, that's what I was gonna ask.
Scott, you have any idea what it's worth?
$1 million.
1 million?
No. One thing, it is a 9-year-old police car. It's got just under 91,000 miles on it. There's nothing wrong with it whatsoever, except for a little tiny piece of paint that's kind of flicked off, but there's really no rust. When I did some research, it shows that it goes anywhere from about $3,000 to $5,000. And I'm probably in the same position that you guys are. The more we get out of it, the more we can put towards the new car. You know, when we first had talked about putting it up for sale, $3,000 would have been a good price, because that's kind of where we were looking for that extra money to compensate what we've already saved up and stuff like that. Since that time, if you remember, the USDA came back and they cut our request, so now we had to come up with a little bit more. So, I mean, I'm all for the most we can get out of it, the better. It's just more money that goes back into the fund that actually pays for the stuff that's gonna, you know. And again, the new car is $41,000. We're paying $20,300 of that. So we already had $15,000 saved up. So, you know, we're unofficially short about $5,000 right now. Understanding that we know we had to pay a little bit more. So I would set a minimum bid probably. If you've got a number, go ahead.
I started at 5.
I'd say about 4.
I started at 5, we got it set for a month, if it don't go, then drop it.
I mean, some of the options that we have is, you know, we can do the bid with a minimum bid, and if nothing happens, I mean, I don't think we're desperate enough that we have to get rid of it tomorrow. It's all cleaned up, it's all shined, ready to go, it's sitting in the pole barn, I've got a couple sheets over it, so it'll stay nice and,
Okay, do I have a motion? I had one, but no, minimum.
I'll make a motion you're gonna just add that to that motion?
Just add the minimum to it, if that's what
Is that what?
5,000?
5,000?
We can,
Support.
Okay, motion to approve putting the old police car out for bid, minimum bid of 5, and
Yep.
support. So, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
We want to make sure that when we put this out for bid, too, that in the bid, it has to be concealed envelopes, they have to come in, all the criteria. Rachel did that with the one truck once before, so she'll know how to write that up for us.
are you gonna put a time limit on it, or?
I'm sure we probably will, won't we, put it by next meeting.
I bet by next meeting, yeah, we
And
don't have
so
it.
they need to have things submitted by
June 10th.
And maybe you can consider,
Is the next meeting. So by noon on June 10th, it has to be submitted.
Yep.
would it be something you'd consider like as an action item next month, just to re-talk about it and make a decision then?
Yeah, we can put it on. Depends on what happens. If we get 3, 4 bids, we'll have an action item to accept the bids or not.
If we get one, we gotta
Yeah.
look at it. Yeah.
Okay, item D, the Chamber of Commerce has approached and requesting that we supply 6 porta potties for the car show and 6 porta potties for the 4th of July chamber events. It's $420 per event, $840 total. Last year, you approved 4 and 4 for $600. So they were $75 a piece last year. They're $70 a piece this year. And the reason they were asking for more is that there were business complaints of people using them and their toilets were getting backed up and whatever. So the fact that we don't have public restrooms downtown area, and this is our way of contributing to 2 fine events that have been going on long enough. So we can't donate money
To make a motion to do the porta potties for the amount of $840.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, never mind. Roll call, please.
Yes.
Chapman?
Yes.
Yes.
Tyler?
Yep.
Zelenak?
Yes.
Yes. Item E, approval of VFW Memorial on the lot next to Alden State Bank.
Yes,
Mr. Moore?
I think you should know what the size of it is on it, and the inscription that would go on it. Those are suggestions. I should bring to your attention that under item D, or, I'm sorry, that is for not the VFW memorial, it's for the Veterans Memorial. It's an inclusive thing as opposed to Veterans of Foreign War. Okay.
Well, with that, I went through the country quite a bit at Memorial, and he went out of his way and done an excellent job. He outdid me, therefore I know he's done it.
Well, it's right here for your inspection, and I can only tell you that when I refer to some of the items in there, we're talking about, this is styrofoam incidentally, so this is one of the benches. It's 4 feet by 18 inches by 18 inches high. These are the capstones that I'm referring to for the benches and for the incremental steps as you see going up. Those are 6 inches thick, and they would provide a surface for the inscription of those particular service people that want to purchase and help pay for this memorial. That's also true of the promenade here, which would be, there's a correction, that should be 4 feet wide rather than 3.5. And those would be white bricks. This is all a recommendation and a suggestion. This is not carved in stone yet. So anyway, this promenade would be the bricks that would be inscribed and paid for by those individuals that want to contribute to the monument. This represents the 5 armed services, Army, Navy, Air Force, and so forth. Those would be bronze plaques on top of the art, actually indented into and affixed to the placard up here. And this is a seal of the United States. I'm sorry I don't have more of the description that I'm hoping will be put on there. I can do I have a minute to read that?
Sure.
All right. Now, the first part of it, I should give credit to the original author, the first 8 words. Ernest Hemingway, you might have heard of him. Anyway, I took it from there. Many of our veterans are part of the earth now, and the earth can never be conquered, for the earth endures forever. It will outlive all systems of tyranny. We shall not forget those who served with honor in the struggle and heavy cost for liberty and freedom, which was not given, but attained through their total commitment to the United States of America. So, but that's up for grabs too. Anybody wants to change that, they're welcome to it.
Along with that, that man spent a lot of time on that, doing that. He just didn't do it overnight. He thought about it well.
Did you make this?
Yes, I made that.
We all do?
Yeah. Well, I used to be, I'm an artist, and I designed exhibits and so forth. The flag is a little bit out of proportion there to the rest of it. It's actually to be a little bit smaller. That's 18 feet high. For those of you that don't have the description, this begins at 2 feet and works up to 6 feet high. And I thought a planter would be appropriate in the front, since we're talking about a lot of the veterans who aren't with us anymore. This would have a small flood on the placard here, the inscription on the stone rather, and another one behind it, which would illuminate the flag.
Mr. Moore, what's the dimensions of it all from front to back and all? How much land space do you need? Is that this?
Oh, God bless you. Where did that come from?
So, is this,
That's
so
what
your
we get.
maquette, that is,
So we have
what
to rate.
is it 15 feet long by
That's
15
18.5 feet deep and 18 feet wide.
Okay, thank you. Yes, I have this.
Oh, okay.
Oh, I see it right there. Okay, I was looking at this map. Thank you.
All right. Do you have any other questions? I'm happy to answer. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, it's a beautiful design. My concern is about the children who want to take the chance to run up and down those steps that are 6 feet off the ground.
They have the same problem down in Bel Air. They have a sign there that said, please respect this, etc., and so forth. And children don't.
They don't.
No, well, the kids do respect it. I mean,
Yeah, yeah.
we're saying,
Yeah.
please don't.
Right.
And mom and dad tell those little squirts to be the other way.
Just thinking of it from a liability point of view.
Yeah,
from the
there's
village.
always a problem with anything public, even an 18-inch high bench, you know.
Sure.
Yeah. But it's a valid point. I thought about it a lot. I thought, well, what do you do? Just have a flat surface?
Unless you could put railing around that, then I know that would change your design.
Well, No,
That's it. Oh,
that
there's
wouldn't hurt.
veterans, let's play.
That wouldn't hurt. But they, kids being kids, they go under the rail, over there, and they play on the rail. I don't know.
So the issue for the council, I think, here is whether or not we approve of what they're proposing, and do we want to give them that lot? We would still own the lot, but we allow them to use it for this purpose.
I'd have a couple of questions yet myself on some of this. When we asked for more to come in, this is great, this helped a lot, but the things that I'm not seeing is what are the proposed costs of installing electric to this? Is, the guy last month said that we would be asked for, the electrical and the maintenance costs of this, so where's the estimated cost for
I
that?
have no idea. I have no idea.
So I
what
think
any
that
of
would be
it-
something to look at, and then I would also start to think that I know the DDA at one time and had thought of putting public restrooms on that lot. And so maybe, since we have a DDA and a planning commission, they should look at this and make a recommendation to us.
Well, there's been talk too of having, village offices on that lot, and that, that's a prime location, and I
I
know
think this
that
is a
the,
wonderful project. I just wonder if it should go to the planning commission and have them make a recommendation to us. That's what they're there for.
I'd be down with that, I'd be down with it, I'd be down with it.
Send this out to
Make
the
a
planning
motion
commission
that
and let
we-
them make a recommendation?
I'll make the motion to do that.
And planning commission also has to think about side setbacks too.
Right.
What's the width of that lot?
Yeah.
That lot's 25
10-foot setback.
75 feet wide.
I'll make the motion to send this to the planning commission for review and recommendation.
I'd second that.
Do we want them to consider the bathrooms as well?
That wouldn't be
Well,
bad.
I mean, I guess I want them to,
I think we need to figure out I'm making the motion that we send this VFW memorial issue to the planning commission, and the planning commission, they could make the decision to incorporate the bathrooms or a new village office or the memorial or whatever. I just want this to go to them.
let them look at this and make a
Yes.
decision. Is this what you
Yes.
want on that lot?
Yes.
There won't be no bathrooms,
No bathrooms?
no bathrooms.
Okay.
I've seen many of the bathrooms. Can anybody here find a bathroom that's not a destruction item? Every one of them. I don't think Sam wants a problem. There's somebody got to clean it. We don't want it.
Okay, we got a motion then
Yeah,
to forward this back to the planning commission.
Big Brother?
We're gonna forward this back to the planning commission for their recommendation, and then we should have that by our next meeting. So they meet before we do. So we're gonna postpone you another month. I think, if they pass this motion.
Well,
And in that, can we
I've
get
seen
some
a lot
I
of
was
them.
just gonna say that, can I add to that somewhere there's incorporated cost as to what the village may incur?
Well, it's gonna take about 40,000 just to get it going.
Of the village money?
And then,
No, they're looking for donations. They're gonna finance this, from my understanding.
right, and then
Right, but
we're,
once it's installed, it's
Once
the
it's
village
installed.
who's gonna have to pay for whatever.
well, no, we're still collecting on bricks.
No, I mean, once the thing is installed, it would be the village's responsibility to maintain it or manage the electricity, pay for the electricity? Okay.
But, we want it where people can see it, not in the back, forest someplace. We're doing it for the veterans. They need some respect.
It's a great project. Great project.
Great, thank you. Thank you very much. Motion to cool, Mr. Neal.
Thanks for your time. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Send it back to the planning commission requesting that some kind of costs be established for maintaining this once it's built. They are not asking for any money from us to initiate and build it. Any further discussion from the board? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried. We have the gas bills from the township for several years. where we haven't made our 10%. And they're requesting that from us.
What? What were you gonna ask me, Melissa?
Nothing.
The township opted not to remove anything from the top of it. It was all voted 4-1.
Got it.
Can you speak to the $1,000 plus there, but
Well, the township board felt that the upgrade to the gas service on the other side of the building to their generator, you should be responsible for 10% of that cost.
okay, that's 10% of the generator too?
It was originally $10,000 to do the upgrade to the gas service,
Just for the gas?
just for the gas service.
Okay, that's what I was wondering, is that,
It went to a vote at last month's meeting, and it was a 4-1 vote that the township should pay, or the village should pay for it.
Yeah, I'd look at this,
they
and
got
I
it down
don't
here as
agree.
gas fee.
I don't agree that we should be paying that, and I would agree to every other one of them, but I wouldn't agree to paying that.
$1,000.
The $1,000, no. I don't think.
Well,
I
we
don't
didn't
think
have
we're
any
gonna-
say in it. I mean,
I mean, it's not as though,
It was a 4-1 vote.
no, did they come to us before the upgrade and say, we want to upgrade, what do you think? And we said, yes, do we?
You know, I can't speak for boards past.
Right.
All I can speak for is what went on at our meeting that night.
but you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
I can see that we agreed to the 10% of the gas bill. But if they decide to do whatever tomorrow, are we gonna be liable for 10% of that too?
You
And I
need
think
to,
if you read the actual lease agreement, and it speaks directly
to me, that's no different than me renting a house, and 10 years down the road, I go ahead and vinyl siding my house. Should I charge you, the renter, for vinyl siding that house? No. That's me. But
Well, that's kind of.
Maybe you could try.
it was a 4-1 vote at the township meeting.
Hold on.
Guys, when you read the lease agreement from the township to the village, in the conveyance of lesser, second page, number 3, letter A, the leasing shall respectfully hold and enjoy the leased premises, and then jump down to F, maintenance, repair, and housekeeping. Lesser shall provide to the leasee at no extra cost all maintenance, repair, and housekeeping services. So to me, that says we don't pay for it.
It's not maintenance repair, it's an upgrade, so
But
I don't think we should pay it.
Okay, so we need a motion to pay $1,277.15. That excludes the 90% of that $1,101.70.
$1,277.15.
$1,277.15 would be
I mean,
our obligation.
And I make the motion that we pay $1,227.15.
I thought I heard Judy right now
Support.
screaming.
Any
You
further
should kick them out.
Need a roll call vote?
Yes.
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 Yes, 2 cents.
We're good, Bill. You and me will both take it next month. We'll be together.
We need to,
We may have to start building offices in our DPW building.
That first day.
Yeah. Sorry, Scott, your car is now outside.
Yeah.
Bill and me will both.
Yeah.
We both got broad shoulders next week.
You got it.
okay, we need to approve, sorry folks, we're getting late here. We need to approve sending delinquent water accounts to the county. I reported that in my report, and to the total of $6292.32.
I'll make that motion to send the delinquent water bills as presented.
Full support.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? I will say that it could be less than that if somebody comes in and pays before the end of the month, so. And I need no roll call. All in favor of this motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's carried. Sam's in dire straits for a line locator metal detector. He has a government price from one company,
Is that a Metro Tech, Sam?
Yes, sir.
and that figure was, if I can find it, 4,000 and something.
Oh man, it's not like a little $1.69 rubbing on the ground.
No, it's not the metal detector you'll go by, trust me.
That was one of
Maintenance of water.
Yep.
Streets or?
Well, actually, it could get split, I believe, in both, and can it, sewer can grab some of that cost.
Physically, right now, I was gonna buy it all out of water. Because I gotta buy, I'm gonna buy a generator out of my sewer. So, that's what I was gonna do with that, man.
We shouldn't have to pay sales tax, though, should we?
No, the sales tax should come off that, Larry.
All right.
I see you put it on there.
$42.55, $4,255.
I'll make a motion for, approve Sam buying Metro Tech, as he's presented here for $44,255.
Support.
Then moved and supported. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion, roll call vote, sorry.
Bodley.
Yes.
Chapman.
Yes.
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 Yes. Action item number, or letter I, Planning Commission sign ordinance. Somebody want to make a motion to?
I'll make a motion to ask the planning commission to review the sign ordinance in regards to temporary for sale signs, as requested by the business owners 3 months ago, 4 months ago. And to make a recommendation back to us. Really, and what we want to know and convey to them also is that all they're really looking for is can they, even a permit that they purchase for $100, give them 6 months to put a little larger sign. The concern that came back to me is, and I've talked with these business owners, is they were told they had to remove their sign because it was not conforming to our sign ordinance, but yet they tell me just down the road hanging where the skating rink is, there's a 4x8 sheet of plywood that is a non-conformant sign. They were told they couldn't hang banners, yet they point out that our ball field has banners hanging all over it that are signs. I mean, I think they, at least the planning commission should look at it. We did our due diligence and said, there you go, let us come back to us with a recommendation.
No support.
Okay, been moved and supported. Any further discussion?
Will the village write a letter or a memo or forward to the planning commission?
We can do that.
Okay.
Sure.
Any further discussion? All in favor of the motion? Say aye. Opposed? Motion is carried.
Man, it's gonna be busy now.
Old business, brush cleanup, we spoke of that, first week of June. Have it by the side of the road. There'll be ads in the paper for that, I assume.
What did we do last time, Rachel? Did we run it here or just put it on our
I
website?
think it was just on Facebook, website.
Facebook.
I think we got plenty of notice out with word right now and on our website. I don't,
Exactly, we're hanging around town in all the different places,
Yeah.
Facebook,
I
website.
think that's good enough.
No, we print up 12 copies, whatever, and leave them around town.
It's taken care of, so. I don't think we need to do anything else with respect to that. Any further public comment? Yes, Susan.
I would like to thank the council. I believe you've all received your little packets that you put together so you know what's happening and kind of what's going on. As you can see, that the 4th of July loan cost us $10,000, the chamber, to put on the events. That's the fireworks. And the bouncy houses for the kids, that stuff is going to be down at Thurston Park, the bouncy houses and those type of events this year. So I'm really hoping that we have access down there to be able to get the stuff down there. I really want to thank Sam and Scott. Scott's got the road closed down for the car show. He's taking care of that for me. Sam has taken care of anything else and any other needs and stuff, and I, really appreciate, those guys stepping up there and helping us as they have done in the past. So, we're always looking for volunteers, so.
Joe's gonna be in the dunk tank this year, I heard.
So, anyways.
Clean your roots out, too.
And you guys in your packet, if any of you have any questions, my number's there to call.
I will add, anybody else have anything? I will add with respect to the 4th of July, we checked with our insurance company, and the chamber was asking that we provide a rider for the bouncy houses or whatever, and we cannot do that. So we tried, that's all I can say.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. Our insurance cost us $801. Our insurance has really gone up this year.
Does your insurance cover the bouncy houses now?
No,
So in order to have the bouncy houses, we gotta be insured. So my question now is gonna be is, can we co-sponsor the bouncy houses and then our insurance will pick up? Oh, it has to be the entire event. Okay, so that would kind of.
Can we call the bouncy house event? I mean, it's all semantics.
Well, that's the thing, we gotta have the insurance company and semantics plays out there.
We can get the rider through this company, and I was just trying to save some money.
Anybody have anything else? Thank you all for coming. Need a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Support. We are supported by Bodley and Clark. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, motion carried.
Yep, I just want to- it's just the document.